I'm Carlo Reyes. I'm an emergency physician and co-founder of Oneness Clinic. I've worn many hats in my career, and I'm super excited to introduce a new one, Metanoia. I'm going to read to you an introduction about what this podcast is about. There are moments in life when the way we see everything begins to change, not because we tried to change, but because something broke open. Sometimes that breaking comes through trauma, sometimes through illness, loss, or near death. Sometimes through love, failure, or a quiet inner reckoning. Across cultures and traditions, this has been described in many ways as a dark night of the soul, an awakening, a reckoning, or a falling apart that reveals something deeper underneath. Whatever the name, the familiar way we understand ourselves no longer fits, and something essential begins to surface. There's a word for this kind of shift. It's called metanoia. Metanoia doesn't mean self-improvement or fixing ourselves. It points to a turning of perception, a change of how we see who we are, how life works, and what actually matters. This podcast exists to explore that turning. Most of us move through life deeply identified with roles, expectations, fears, and the material world, until an experience disrupts the story we've been living inside. Those moments don't make us special, they make us honest. I created Metanoia because I've seen, both personally and professionally, how disruption can become a gateway rather than an ending. As a physician and an attorney, much of my work has lived at the edges of crisis, trauma, and human vulnerability. But my deeper interest has always been the inner journey, how suffering, when met with awareness, becomes a path into authenticity rather than something that hardens us. The guests I invite onto this podcast aren't here because they have answers. They're here because their lives include moments of rupture, moments that dissolved old identities and forced a reckoning with fear, meaning, and self. Each episode is a long-form, reflective conversation, not about fixing life, but about seeing it clearly, about how trauma, illness, awakening, or loss can loosen the grip of the ego and reveal a deeper wholeness beneath it. Metanoia isn't about proving spiritual truths. It isn't about belief systems or certainty. It's about understanding what it means to be human when the illusions fall away. This podcast is an invitation, not to believe, but to listen, to turn inward, and to discover that what once felt like breaking may actually be remembering. I'm Carlo Reyes, and this is Metanoia.